I can't believe that it's been so long since I've uploaded any video to YouTube, but it's since January, I guess. Sorry about that, but in any case, thank you if you've come looking for things and now there's something new. I wanted to talk a bit about an experience that I'm having, which is connected with the aging process. That is, slowly finding a way to live my senior years with a healthy mind and with new experiences. And one way is by studying languages. The other way that I use is, of course, writing music. All of this contributes to some kind of common good, I suppose, and yet it's something very personal, and I can't complain because I do have a certain amount of time for interests aside from those of my duties, fulfilling my duties here in a monastery. So I do what I can do and what I'm supposed to do, and yet I'm also working to keep my mind alive and open to new possibilities and new thoughts, new ideas. So one way is learning languages. And the language that I've chosen to work on in these past months and really a few years now is Esperanto. This was something that I discovered when I was in my teens, around 16 I guess I was, just by way of a book I discovered in the public library. And so it's very easy to learn the basic rules of grammar of Esperanto and a few phrases and so forth. And so I found this fascinating, and I got to the point where I could actually read texts and so forth in Esperanto. But it was kind of there. It was kind of there as a possibility, and every so often someone would bring up the subject, and I would say that it's always fascinated me, but I've never found anyone I could speak Esperanto with. And then finally now, in my old age, I can't complain. I'm not complaining. But after all these years, I have found a group that speaks Esperanto. There's one guy who organized it, and thanks to him, his name is Josh Cohen, and here in Berkeley. And so in the early afternoon on Saturdays, we have been meeting the past 3 weeks, and I engaged in my first conversation in Esperanto. Of course, I've also been doing a certain amount of study of the vocabulary, actually, the formation of words from roots and so forth, and that is fascinating. It is a composite language, a language that draws on many other languages for its vocabulary and for some of its grammatical forms. It's very interesting because the man who invented Esperanto, Ludwig Zamenhof, he was an eye doctor, he was Jewish, was Polish, you could say, and the territory he lived in is now part of Poland, although I think he spoke Russian outside of the house, Yiddish indoors in his family, but he knew Polish and he knew German because these language groups were mixed there where he was, in what is now eastern Poland, where my grandfather was born, by the way. And so there it was, they were, that part of Poland was under the Tsar of Moscow, and so his problem was how people could understand each other easily without one having to give up on one's own language to speak the other person's language and so forth, or in this rather difficult and awkward situation where one person would speak Polish, the other would speak Russian, and they would more or less understand each other. It's like Spanish and Portuguese as far as I know. But in any case, it was uncomfortable, and so he found this way of creating a new language. Well, I've spoken about this, and then of course other people have these YouTube channels. What I just finished now was listening to, watching a movie on YouTube, and it's based on this little novelette by a linguist diplomat, a UN diplomat, and then he became a psychiatrist, Claude Piron, Swiss. French was his first language, I believe. But he spoke dozens of languages. I don't know how many. In any case, he wrote this little novel called Gerda Malaperis. Gerda has disappeared. And so in Brazil, some people made a movie of it with young Brazilian actors speaking rapid-fire Esperanto. And it's so fun to listen to them. The accent, of course, when I read Esperanto, you can hear a kind of a background, a Polish background there, because the first foreign language that I heard in my life, when I was just beginning to understand, to speak my first words in English, but my grandparents would speak Polish. And then my father's sisters would gossip in Polish among themselves so that their sisters-in-law wouldn't understand what they're talking about. And and then Spanish, of course. We were in Los Angeles, so you would hear Spanish on the radio, you'd hear Spanish on the streets. Anyway, an example of the sound. There's a boy and a girl who meet in the dining hall of their university, their faculty, and one of them is Tom. Well, okay, so my name is Tom also, so we'll just say, and his girlfriend is Linda. Linda, of course, in Portuguese means pretty, and so she's a very pretty girl, and so Tom is always paying her compliments. You're the most beautiful girl in the world, and so forth. Anyway, so they greet each other, and this first chapter is in the university restaurant, and very simple, very easy. But when you see it on the YouTube, anyway, you do a search on this title, Gerda Malaperis, and it's great fun, even if you don't understand it. You just enjoy but they speak it with a Portuguese accent. Okay, now it's in Brazil. They made the actors are all Brazilians. Saluton, Linda. Saluton, Tom, she says. Tom, diru al mi, kiu estas tiu? Tell me something. Who's that guy over there? Huh? Kiu? Who? Tiu alta blonda juna viro? That tall, blonde young man? Kiu? Tiu kiu sidas in la angulo? The one who's sitting in the corner, on the corner table. Oh, tiu. Yes, tiu. Yes, by the way. You see, the Zamenhof went around and borrowed words from all the languages that he knew. And he knew English very well, French, of course, and Italian. I know that he knew Italian quite well, whether from reading literature, but maybe even from traveling down to Italy and meeting Italians and so forth, because there's a lot of interesting Italian words in Esperanto. So words from here and there. The word for yes is yes, yes. And the word for no, no is ne, ne. Because no in Esperanto is the letter N in the alphabet. So they say no, mo, no, po, and so forth. M, N, P, and so forth. But anyway, so yes, tiu, that guy. Linda says, Mi ne scias, kiu li estas. Nova studento, verŝajne. Tom says, Li estas tute sola. Linda, ne, rigardu, bela knabino iras al li. So she's saying, well, I don't know who he is. A new student, perhaps. Or at least that's what it looks like. He looks like he's a new student. That's what the verŝajne, it seems so. Li estas tute sola, Tom says. Hey, he's all alone. He's sitting in a corner on a table by himself. No, look, says Linda. A pretty girl just walked up. So anyway, that's the opening scene, and when you go see that, because it's a detective mystery, because Gerda is the pretty girl, and she gets kidnapped And I won't spoil the movie for you, but why she gets kidnapped, aside from the fact that her family's wealthy. But that comes out at the end, and they have a great party in her nice home. But in any case, she goes through all of these trials and tribulations, and then this young couple, and another student by the name of Bob, try to, when Gerda is kidnapped, they try to find the kidnappers, and they do, and they succeed in that. The police come along, and it ends up that anyway, everyone. It ends with everyone happy. No one gets killed. That's the important thing. That I will spoil for you. If you're looking for a real murder mystery here, you're not going to find it. You have to go to this other film in Esperanto called Incubus. Incubus, starring William Shatner, and it was the year before he started the original Star Trek series on television. William Shatner. And so he plays a soldier just back from the war. And the dialogue is all in Esperanto, because it's all kind of creating this kind of mysterious, diabolical reality, parallel universe, as it were. And the guy gets lost and goes into this parallel universe, which happens to be the Big Sur coast. And I was there at the Big Sur monastery, and here they were shooting this movie, this Incubus. And that's also now on YouTube. I guess the copyright or something expired, and so you can see the whole movie. It's spelled either Incubus or Inkubus, but look for the C. Incubus. Incubus is the term the psychiatrists use for a repeated nightmare. So it's a mythological language.